felt like a hostage at the mercy of a terrorist. I felt so badly violated that I was being thrown out of my own house unless I give up my basic rights. I felt stabbed in the back.
What do we have here? 40 plus stab wounds plus a beheading.
And good evening, everyone. Muzzammil Hassan beheaded his wife almost 2 years ago. The trial lasted some 4 weeks, and the jury took only an hour before finding him guilty of murder. News 4's Lori Schultz has covered every minute of this trial right up to the guilty verdict.
There's a disconnect between what the outside world is seeing and what's happening privately.
With more than 6 armed deputies seated in the courtroom, Muzzammil Hassan stood before the jury and once again painted himself as the victim.
The prosecution has never asked the question, who started it? They never asked the question, who started it? That is the core question that needs to be answered.
In his 2-hour closing, he told jurors again that he was the victim of battered spouse syndrome and that he feared his wife. On the night of the slaying, he believed that she was armed with a knife. He likened his marriage to living with a terrorist.
This was torture, not love. This was torment, not love. I felt my basic rights were being stolen. I felt I was being raped.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a divorce case. This is a murder case.
Prosecutor COLLEEN GABLE revealed in her closing that Assia might have been conscious when the defendant started to behead her. She showed more disturbing photos of the 47 stab wounds to Assia's torso and the bloody decapitation.
It shouldn't have taken until after the 10th, after the 20th, after the 30th stab wound to realize she wasn't a threat.
Prosecutors had argued that the defendant lured his wife to her death because she dared to file for a divorce days earlier. GABLE choked back tears toward the end of her summation.
And now is my final time to speak for her. That is my job. It is time for this defendant to get his due.
The jury deliberated for only about 50 minutes, convicting the defendant on second-degree murder.
Mr. Hassan was quiet. He listened to the jury, accepted their verdict, and again, he has legal remedies after that.
Immediately after the verdict, Hassan was handcuffed and hauled away to the Erie County Holding Center. He is expected to file an appeal. And the defendant is scheduled to return to court on March 9th. That's when he'll be sentenced. He faces a state prison term of 25 years to life.
You know, Lori, Judge Franzak has displayed tremendous patience throughout the trial. How did he handle it today?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because I put in a request already to get an interview with him, and of course that won't happen until after the sentencing, if he even agrees to that. But, you know, he handled it pretty well. He's been firm with the defendant all along. He gave him a 2-hour time limit to do his closings, and at the 9-minute mark, like 9 minutes to go, the judge actually said 9 minutes, and Hassan looked at the clock and he kind of sped it up a little bit. So, you know, in my opinion, I think it was great. I think a couple of attorneys did say he deserves a prize for his patience.
I agree with that. Yeah. Thanks, Lori.